Short story Drive My Car by Haruki Murakami, a poignant exploration of love, loss, and the human connections that shape our lives. In this narrative, we follow the journey of Kafuku, a stage actor whose relationship with his driver Misaki reveals deeper truths about his past and the unresolved questions surrounding his late wife. Join us as we delve into this moving tale of emotional discovery and healing. This video was powered by the AI Pandora.io. Meet Kafuku, a stage actor with a unique perspective on driving. Based on his experiences, he believes women drivers typically fall into two categories: overly cautious or excessively aggressive. Though he respects women's abilities in most areas of life, something about being driven by a woman makes him uneasy. Our story begins when Kafuku needs to hire a personal driver due to a minor traffic accident and a medical diagnosis of glaucoma creating a blind spot in his vision. He can no longer drive himself. This presents a problem, since Kafuku uses his driving time to rehearse lines for his theatrical performances. Oba, Kafuku's trusted mechanic of 15 years, recommends a young woman named Misaki Watari. Oba vouches for her exceptional driving skills, but warns that she's not particularly friendly or talkative. Intrigued rather than deterred by this description, Kafuku agrees to meet her. We then see Kafuku's beloved yellow Saab 900 convertible, which he's owned for 12 years. This car holds special memories, as his now-deceased wife had chosen its bright yellow color. For nearly a decade since her passing, Kafuku has driven alone, the passenger seat remaining empty despite his relationships with other women. When Misaki arrives for her interview, she matches Oba's description perfectly. Not conventionally attractive, with a serious demeanor, large clear eyes, and a distinctive purple birthmark on her neck, she's dressed practically in a herringbone jacket and sneakers. Their test drive proves revealing. Misaki handles the car with remarkable skill, her movements smooth and precise. She seems more relaxed behind the wheel than in conversation. We learn she grew up in the mountains of Hokkaido, driving on icy roads from her early teens. Kafuku hires her, immediately establishing a routine where Misaki picks him up from his apartment and drives him to the theater in Ginza. He rehearses his lines on the way to performances, currently playing Uncle Vanya in a Chekhov adaptation. While on return trips, they listen to Beethoven's string quartets or classic American rock. What makes their arrangement work so well is Misaki's emotional detachment. Her lack of expression and cool personality allow Kafuku to rehearse freely without feeling self-conscious. She drives with zen-like focus, seemingly unbothered by his theatrical practice. As weeks pass, Misaki becomes an integral part of Kafuku's routine, driving him between the theater TV studio, where he plays a fortune teller in a detective series, and the acting school where he teaches weekend classes. Her reliability is absolute. Interestingly, sitting in the passenger seat with Misaki driving reminds Kafuku of his late wife. We learn that unlike Kafuku, who specialized in quirky supporting roles, his wife had been a stunning leading lady. Their professional contrast mirrors their physical differences. Kafuku with his long, narrow face and early baldness, his wife beautiful and commanding. Kafuku loved his wife deeply from their first meeting when he was 29 until her death at 49. While he never strayed in their marriage, he became aware that his wife occasionally slept with other men, typically fellow actors she worked with on film projects. These relationships would naturally dissolve when filming ended. Despite the pain of knowing about these affairs, Kafuku never confronted his wife. He wanted to ask what she was seeking in other men, and what he lacked, but her illness prevented him from having this difficult conversation before she died. This unresolved question haunted him, even as he collected her bones after cremation. Maintaining their normal life while carrying this knowledge required tremendous effort. But Kafuku, being a professional actor, embraced this personal role with all his might, performing without an audience. Setting aside these affairs, their married life was otherwise contented, with smooth careers and satisfying intimacy that he never experienced with anyone else after her passing. We discover that Misaki, Kafuku's 24-year-old driver from Hokkaido, holds significance to Kafuku, as he and his wife had lost a baby girl who would have been 24 had she lived. The child died after just 3 days, leaving deep wounds that took them a long time to heal. Kafuku reflects that it was after this loss that his wife's affairs likely began. During a drive, Misaki initiates a rare conversation asking Kafuku why he became an actor. He explains how he discovered the joy of being someone else while knowing he could return to himself afterward. When Misaki observes that Kafuku has no friends, he reveals that his one friend in recent years was actually one of his wife's former lovers, a man named Takatsuki. Kafuku explains to a surprised Misaki that he deliberately befriended Takatsuki after his wife's death, hoping to understand why his wife had chosen this man. Takatsuki was a handsome actor in his early 40s, who played nice guys but wasn't particularly skilled. Despite not fully understanding his wife's attraction to Takatsuki, Kafuku found himself unable to step out of this role he had created. Their friendship began when they met at a TV studio 6 months after his wife's death. Takatsuki expressed condolences, mentioning he had worked with Kafuku's wife. Seizing the opportunity, Kafuku invited him for drinks to talk about his late wife, and Takatsuki readily agreed, unaware that Kafuku knew about the affair. As they arranged to meet at a bar in Ginza, Kafuku noticed Takatsuki's warm, slightly damp handshake. He realized this hand had caressed his wife's body. Yet he felt compelled to continue with whatever he was trying to do by forming this unusual friendship. Kafuku and Takatsuki meet at a bar, sharing whiskey and memories of a woman they both loved. Kafuku realizes Takatsuki still deeply grieves for his wife, unable to accept that she's gone forever. Though they sit as strangers turned confidants, Kafuku finds himself offering comfort to the younger man, which strikes him as strangely ironic. The two men, despite their complicated connection, form an unusual friendship. They become drinking buddies, meeting regularly at bars across Tokyo, never sharing meals, only whiskey and conversation. During one rainy evening at a small bar in Aoyama, with jazz playing softly and a gray cat curled nearby, their conversation grows deeper. Takatsuki compliments Kafuku's wife, calling her wonderful, while Kafuku admits that such happiness led to equal pain, the fear of losing her, which eventually came true. Kafuku reveals his deepest regret that he never truly understood some essential part of his wife. He describes it as a small locked safe lying at the bottom of the ocean. When Takatsuki seems to relate too specifically to this feeling, tension rises between them. Takatsuki offers thoughtful wisdom. The proposition that we can look into another person's heart with perfect clarity strikes me as a fool's game. All it can do is cause us pain. Examining your own heart, however, is another matter. His words come from somewhere authentic, not from his actor's repertoire. Later, Kafuku explains to Misaki, his driver, why he ended this friendship after 6 months. He admits he initially planned revenge to find Takatsuki's fatal flaw and use it against him, especially regarding custody of his son. But something changed. At a certain point, a lot of things didn't seem like that big of a deal anymore, Kafuku tells Misaki. Like the demon had left me all of a sudden. The rage that had consumed him simply vanished. Still, one question haunts him. Why would his strong-willed, deep-thinking wife choose someone as inconsequential as Takatsuki? Misaki offers a simple but profound insight. Isn't it possible that your wife didn't fall for him at all, and that's why she slept with him? This perspective causes Kafuku to see Misaki differently. In their quiet understanding, he notices her wisdom beyond her years. Women can be like that, she adds. To me, it's a kind of sickness. There's no logic involved. All I can do is accept what they did and try to get on with my life. As their conversation concludes, Kafuku settles back in the leather seat of his red Saab, closing his eyes to the smooth hum of the engine. He decides to take a short nap before returning to the stage to his acting. The bright lights, rehearsed lines, applause, and falling curtain. In this quiet moment, he acknowledges a universal truth: we temporarily leave ourselves behind when we act, but the self we return to is never exactly the same as the one we left. As Misaki silently focuses on the road ahead, Kafuku drifts into sleep, grateful for her quietness, having found an unexpected connection that helped him make peace with his past. As our journey through Drive My Car comes to a close, we are left with the profound realization that healing often comes from unexpected sources. Kafuku found solace not in answers about his wife's affairs, but in the quiet understanding shared with Misaki, a young woman whose presence allowed him to process his grief in ways he never anticipated. In the space between driver and passenger, a delicate truth emerged: that we may never fully understand those we love most deeply, but perhaps acceptance is its own form of resolution. Through the yellow sob that once carried memories of his wife, Kafuku discovered that moving forward does not require forgetting, but rather finding new meaning in what remains. The story reminds us that life, like a well-rehearsed play, continues beyond our losses, transforming the roles we thought defined us into something altogether different, yet somehow familiar. In the end, Drive My Car speaks to the universal experience of navigating the complexities of love loss and the courage to continue despite unresolved questions. This video was powered by the AI Pandora.io.